Hey everyone, it's August 30th, and that means that if today's your birthday, you share with serial killer Lonnie Franklin Jr., known as the Grim Sleeper, who may have murdered as many as 25 victims in Southern California, and that is him right up there. Franklin was born in 1952 and grew up in South Central Los Angeles before joining the Army in the early 1970s. He was married and fathered 2 children, which ultimately led to his capture in 2010. While in the Army, Franklin was stationed in Germany, where he first committed a horrible crime that was a precursor to what would come through the rest of his life. Along with a few fellow service members, he abducted a teenage girl, held a knife to her throat, drove her to an empty field, and sexually assaulted her. Photos were taken of the victim during the act, which is something he would do later in life when his crimes escalated to murder. He served a brief prison sentence in Germany before receiving a dishonorable discharge and was sent back to Los Angeles in 1975. Franklin was hired as a mechanic by the City of Los Angeles Sanitation Department and also briefly worked in a similar capacity for the LAPD. During the mid-80s, bodies of dead women were being found in alleys and dumpsters across South Central Los Angeles, leading to the LAPD forming a task force to hunt down the South Side Slayer. Ultimately, they realized that multiple serial killers were at work in the community, making it very difficult to find any of them. We now know that at least 5 serial killers were active during that time with similar MOs and were responsible for those murders. DNA evidence wasn't able to be analyzed with the techniques available at the time, and the murders largely went unsolved. Franklin was one of the culprits, and his MO was to convince a woman to get in his car where he would abduct her at gunpoint, sexually assault her, then shoot her and leave her body in a trash bag in a dumpster or alley. In 1988, one victim managed to escape after being shot, and Franklin ceased his operations, or went to sleep, hence the nickname, for 14 years. But in 2002, the urge to kill overtook him once more, and Franklin began killing again. The break authorities needed came in 2010 when DNA from cold cases was compared to a database the state of California maintained. Voters in the state passed Proposition 69, nice, in 2004, which requires the state to obtain DNA from those convicted of violent crimes. While Franklin's DNA wasn't in the system, his son was a convicted felon and a partial match was established. Investigators finally were able to link Franklin to the murders that spanned from 1985 to 2007, and he was arrested. When investigators searched his home, they found over 1,000 photos of victims behind a wall in his house. He was indicted in 2011 for 7 murders in the 80s and 3 after he began killing again in the 2000s, but was connected to at least 17, but perhaps as many as 25 murders. Legal proceedings took all the way until 2016, but he was ultimately convicted and sentenced to death. Franklin died in March of 2020 while sitting on death row without ever admitting to the additional murders that he's suspected of committing. If this is your birthday, I hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment so I can wish you a happy birthday. If you know someone whose birthday it is today, send them this video so they can find out all about their birthday twin. And to Lonnie Franklin Jr., I say, happy birthday, you bastard.